What we're going to take a look at now is standard notation and tab, and we'll take a look at the advantages and disadvantages of both. So let's start with tab because that's the easiest one to understand. And if you're watching this, you may already know how to use tab. But let me just explain anyway. We have 6 lines here which represent the 6 strings of the guitar, and the top line would be the first string, the high note string, and the bottom line here will be the low note strings. So if you have a note here like this, for example, let's just say that that's a 0 right there. That means it's an open string, and if you look at the fretboard over here, what it's showing is that's the first string and it's the open string. Now if I go over here, click on that 1 right there, you notice over here that's showing that's on the second string, first fret. So this is really easy because the numbers represent the frets. Now, since this is a very simple piece, the numbers don't get any higher than 3. But if you were playing this in a different position, then with the standard notation, unless you had some other notes on the standard notation, you wouldn't know what position it is, because you could play this, theoretically, you could play this in different positions on the guitar. Okay, so that's tab. Now, what is not included in tab is the note durations, rests, and other things like that. So if you take a look now at the standard notation, what we have here is a lot more information. So at the top here we have a tempo set for 52 beats per minute. That can be, that's not really part of the standard notation. But if we take a look at the notes here, these represent the pitch. Now they could be played in different positions on the guitar, as I was saying. Now you wouldn't know this unless there were some other notations which I'm going to explain about. Let's take a look then at the fingering. Now the fingering, we've got the right and the left hand for guitar. And if we take a look at those fingerings here, this would be the left hand, and usually they're represented by the fingers 1, 2, 3, 4. There is no fingering on here, but if I wanted to put a fingering for this, I could say, let's play that. Actually, it's open string, so I'll put a 0 like that. And I could put a fingering for this one too. Well, actually, that would be another 0, but this one has a fingering over here. So the fingering is shown by a number. Now the right hand fingering is shown a different way. That's shown using Pima, so P-I-M-A. And you'll see that on the little hand here. And we have quite a number of fingerings for the right hand shown on this music here. Okay, so now the other thing is you can see very clearly the note durations. You see that this is 3/4 time, so you have a time signature, and you can see the quarter notes here, and you can see the eighth notes. So this is a very clear way of explaining the note durations. Now, if there was a rest, let's say for example I played that, I could add in there a rest. I could do that. Now here on the tab, you just see a missing note, so you don't know whether that note is sustained until the end of the measure, or it's just stopped there. So you don't have a clear idea in the tab, but you do have a clear idea in the standard notation. So at the end of this piece, here's an example of something a little bit more complex that is quite hard to show in tab, because here we have a series of double notes, and then when we get to this measure right here, you notice that that note has a duration of a half note. So that you cannot tell from this. You don't know whether it starts there and goes to the end. It's hard to tell. But in this one, you see that that's a half note right there, and then at the end you have a quarter note. So actually, just let me just play that just so that you can hear how that sounds. Now you could hear that sustaining there, right? So of course there is a lot more detail that you could put in the standard notation for articulations and dynamics, and those things don't usually appear in the tab. Now, tab is great to show you the fingering of something. If you already know the music and you can hear it, you can listen to it, and you just need to know, where do I put my fingers, then it's great. Or if you're writing something down quick, but then if you want to put the details in how the piece is actually played, standard notation is quite superior. So learning standard notation takes a bit more time, but there really is a lot more information that you can get from it. So it is worthwhile to learn it, especially if you want to benefit from written music where the composer has actually applied fingerings and dynamics and those kind of things to the music. Then you can get a sense of what the composer really intended to do. So those are the benefits of standard notation. I just want to make one other note about fingerings. Typically, with standard notation, you wouldn't see this much fingering notated, especially if the piece is a little bit more complex than this. This one is a beginner's piece, so all of the fingerings are indicated. And in this case, I actually added some additional notes which would not really be notated. Even the 1 and the 3 over here would not really be shown. But in the case where there might be several possibilities, or to indicate the position on a guitar, you might show the fingering. And then there's one thing else that you could do, which is add a symbol for the string. Now, if I add the string symbol right there, that shows that that's on string 2. Now, as you know, the notes can be played in different positions. So this is, if I play that on string 3 instead, then that will be a 3, and then you would adjust the fingering to play the notes as will be appropriate. So that's another notation there that you can also add. So typically, depending on the type of piece, if it's something that the composer wrote, or the person who arranged a piece wrote so that the piece could be played in a particular position, then you would normally see these just to give an idea to the player what is the best way to play it. And again, these fingerings and numbers, the more experience you get, then you tend to just take those as a guide, and you may have your own ideas about how to play them. So in the case of the pieces I'm showing in my classical guitar course, I've actually added additional fingerings that were not put in by the composer. And that's just purely to show the beginner what would be a good fingering to use. So I hope that from this you can understand that standard notation is well worth the effort to learn, especially if you're learning classical guitar. It's really a good idea to invest time to learning it, and it's very fulfilling once you do. You've just been watching one of the videos from my Easy Classical Guitar Solos video that I'm preparing right now. And if you want to know when that's released, or you want to get more information and get coupons, even an opportunity to get a free course, first of all, I hope you subscribe to my channel, and then I hope that you go to the website. If you scroll down and subscribe to the website, then you will get informed as soon as this course is available, and I'm even considering to give away a couple of courses. So I hope that you'll do that, and as I always say, stay tuned, and look forward to seeing you soon.